Ethan Carter sat at his desk, staring at the sheet of paper in front of him. The room was quiet except for the faint hum of the old ceiling fan spinning lazily above his head. It was late, and most people in his small town were already asleep. But Ethan wasn't tired. His mind raced with thoughts about the assignment he had been given that day in physics class. The homework seemed simple enough on the surface. Calculate the energy needed to travel between two stars. Most students groaned when Mr. Peterson handed it out, thinking it was just another boring problem to solve. But Ethan felt differently. To him, this wasn't just a math problem. It was a puzzle, a challenge that made his imagination run wild. He loved science fiction stories, especially ones about spaceships traveling through the galaxy. This assignment felt like a chance to bring those dreams a little closer to reality. Ethan grabbed his pencil and started jotting down ideas. At first, he thought about using basic formulas, the kind they learned in class. But then something clicked. What if he didn't stop there? What if he tried to think bigger? He remembered reading about gravitational slingshots, where spacecraft use the gravity of planets to speed up without wasting fuel. Could he include that in his calculations? And what about futuristic engines? Could he imagine how they might work and factor them into his solution? As the night wore on, Ethan lost track of time. Numbers filled the pages of his notebook, along with sketches of imaginary spaceships and diagrams of star systems. He even added variables he'd never seen in any textbook, like the effect of solar winds or the possibility of using dark matter as fuel. None of these things were part of the original assignment, but Ethan couldn't help himself. Once he got started, he wanted to make it perfect. By the time he finished, the clock on his desk read 2:17 a.m. Ethan leaned back in his chair, stretching his arms above his head. He looked over his work one last time, making sure everything added up. When he was satisfied, he closed his notebook and placed it neatly inside his backpack. Tomorrow, he would hand it in and probably never think about it again. After all, it was just homework. The next morning, Ethan walked to school with his best friend, Mia Roberts. She noticed the tired look on his face and teased him about staying up too late. "You know," she said with a grin, "you take this stuff way too seriously. It's not like anyone's going to build a spaceship based on your homework." Ethan laughed, shrugging off her comment. "Maybe not," he replied, "but it's still fun to think about." When Mr. Peterson collected the assignments later that day, he flipped through the stack of papers quickly, barely glancing at each one. But when he reached Ethan's, he paused. Something about the detailed calculations and creative approach caught his eye. Instead of tossing it onto the pile with the others, he set it aside, curious to look at it more closely after class. That evening, while grading the homework, Mr. Peterson found himself increasingly impressed by Ethan's work. It wasn't just correct. It went far beyond what anyone in the class could have expected. The teacher decided to send it to someone who might appreciate it even more, Dr. Alan Brooks, a visiting astrophysicist from MIT. Little did Ethan know, his simple homework was about to change everything. For him, and maybe for the entire world. Dr. Alan Brooks was not easily impressed. As one of the top astrophysicists in the world, he had spent decades studying the mysteries of space and working on projects that most people could barely understand. He had seen countless research papers, equations, and theories, many of which were groundbreaking. But when Mr. Peterson sent him Ethan Carter's homework assignment, something about it stood out. At first glance, the calculations seemed ordinary, just what you'd expect from a high school physics problem. But as Dr. Brooks read further, he realized this was no ordinary solution. Ethan had included variables and concepts that went far beyond anything taught in a typical classroom. Gravitational slingshots, speculative energy sources, even ideas about how to use solar winds for propulsion. All of it was there, explained clearly and logically. What struck Dr. Brooks the most was how Ethan had combined real science with creative thinking. It wasn't just math, it was innovation. Curious, Dr. Brooks decided to test the calculations himself. He plugged the numbers into a computer simulation designed to model interstellar travel. To his astonishment, the results matched up perfectly. If Ethan's methods were applied correctly, they could potentially reduce the energy required for long-distance space travel by a significant margin. This wasn't just impressive. It was revolutionary. Dr. Brooks knew he had to meet the person behind the work. The next day, he called Mr. Peterson and asked for Ethan's contact information. A few hours later, Ethan received an email inviting him to present his homework at a university seminar hosted by MIT. At first, Ethan thought it was some kind of prank. Why would someone like Dr. Brooks care about a high school project? But when Mia saw the email, she squealed with excitement. "Are you kidding me?" she exclaimed, shaking Ethan's shoulders. "This is huge. You have to go." Ethan hesitated. Public speaking wasn't exactly his strong suit, and the idea of presenting in front of a room full of scientists intimidated him. But Maya wouldn't let him back out. She reminded him how hard he had worked on the assignment and how proud he should be. Eventually, Ethan agreed, though he still felt nervous about the whole thing. The day of the seminar arrived quickly. Ethan and Mia took a bus to the university campus, where they were greeted by Dr. Brooks. He was taller than Ethan expected, with glasses perched on his nose and a warm smile that immediately put Ethan at ease. "I'm glad you came," Dr. Brooks said, shaking Ethan's hand firmly. "Your work has sparked quite a bit of interest." When it was time for Ethan to present, he stood nervously at the front of the lecture hall. Dozens of eyes stared back at him, belonging to professors, graduate students, and researchers who looked far more knowledgeable than he did. Taking a deep breath, Ethan began explaining his methodology. He used simple analogies to describe complex ideas, drawing diagrams on the whiteboard to illustrate his points. Mia sat in the front row, giving him encouraging nods whenever he glanced her way. To Ethan's surprise, the audience seemed genuinely interested. They asked questions, offered suggestions, and even applauded when he finished. Someone recorded the presentation and uploaded it online, unaware of the ripple effect it would soon create. Within days, the video went viral. People around the world watched in awe as a high school student explained advanced concepts in a way anyone could understand. Scientists debated the implications of Ethan's work, while everyday viewers marveled at his creativity and intelligence. Among those watching was Dr. Laura Kim, a leading researcher at the United Galactic Research Consortium, UGRC. When she saw the video, she immediately recognized his potential. Dr. Kim reached out to Ethan, explaining that his ideas aligned closely with ongoing efforts to develop faster-than-light travel. She invited him to collaborate with their team, which specialized in cutting-edge space exploration technology. For Ethan, it was overwhelming but also thrilling. What started as a simple homework assignment was now opening doors he never imagined possible. And as Mia reminded him, this was only the beginning. Ethan couldn't believe what was happening. Just a few weeks ago, he was just another high school student struggling to stay awake during physics class. Now he was being invited to work with some of the smartest minds in the galaxy. The idea felt surreal, like something out of one of the science fiction books he loved so much. But Mia kept reminding him that this was real, and that he deserved it. The invitation came from Dr. Laura Kim, a scientist at the United Galactic Research Consortium, UGRC. She explained that Ethan's calculations had caught their attention because they offered new ways to solve problems the UGRC had been working on for years. Faster-than-light travel, efficient energy use, and safer interstellar journeys were all part of their mission. And now, Ethan's ideas might help them take a giant leap forward. Mia insisted on coming along when Ethan traveled to the UGRC headquarters, which was located on a massive space station orbiting Mars. "You're not doing this alone," she told him firmly. "Besides, someone has to keep you from fainting when you see aliens or whatever." Ethan laughed but agreed. Having Mia by his side made everything feel less intimidating. Together, they boarded a shuttle that took them to the station. As they approached, Ethan pressed his face against the window, staring in awe at the sprawling structure floating silently in space. It looked like something from a dream, with glowing lights and sleek metallic surfaces reflecting the distant sun. When they arrived, they were greeted by Dr. Kim and two other researchers. Dr. Ryan Patel, an engineer who specialized in propulsion systems, and Dr. Emily Dawson, an astrophysicist known for her work on wormholes. Both were friendly and eager to meet Ethan, though he couldn't shake the feeling that he didn't belong there. He was just a kid from a small town after all. Dr. Kim gave them a tour of the facility, showing off labs filled with advanced technology and control rooms buzzing with activity. Ethan tried to take it all in, but his mind kept racing ahead. He couldn't stop thinking about how his homework assignment had brought him here. It still felt unbelievable. During the tour, Dr. Patel explained the challenges humanity faced in exploring deep space. Right now, we can only reach nearby star systems, he said. But if your theories are right, we could go much farther, maybe even meet alien civilizations. At the mention of aliens, Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He glanced at Mia, who smirked knowingly. "Told you," she whispered. Later that day, Ethan found himself standing in front of a large screen displaying a map of the galaxy. Dr. Dawson pointed to various star systems, explaining how they hoped to expand humanity's reach. Then she turned to Ethan. "Your calculations suggest we can reduce the energy needed for these journeys significantly. That's why we're so excited to have you here." Ethan nodded, trying to stay calm. I never thought my homework would lead to this," he admitted. Dr. Kim smiled warmly. "Sometimes the simplest ideas spark the biggest changes. You've already proven that." As the day went on, Ethan began to relax. Everyone treated him with respect, asking thoughtful questions and encouraging him to share more of his thoughts. Maya stayed close, offering quiet support whenever he seemed unsure. By the time they returned to their quarters that evening, Ethan felt a flicker of confidence. Maybe he really could contribute something meaningful. But the next morning, something unexpected happened. While exploring the lab, Ethan accidentally triggered an experimental communication device. The machine hummed to life, sending out a signal into space. At first, no one noticed. Then, moments later, the monitors lit up with a response. A message written in a language no one recognized. The room fell silent as everyone stared at the screen. Ethan's stomach churned. What had he done? Before anyone could react, Dr. Kim broke the silence. "This is incredible," she said softly. "We've just received our first confirmed contact with an alien species." The news of Ethan's accidental discovery spread like wildfire. Within hours, the entire space station was buzzing with excitement. Scientists rushed to decode the alien message, their faces glowing with a mix of wonder and disbelief. For years, humanity had been searching for signs of intelligent life beyond Earth, sending signals into the void and hoping for a response. And now, thanks to a high school student fiddling with an experimental device, that hope had become reality. Dr. Laura Kim called an emergency meeting to discuss the situation. Ethan sat nervously at the table, surrounded by researchers who were frantically analyzing the data. Maya stood nearby, her arms crossed as she watched the chaos unfold. "You okay?" she whispered to Ethan when she noticed him fidgeting. "I didn't mean to do it," Ethan replied quietly, his voice tinged with guilt. "What if they're mad? What if they think we're dangerous?" Mia rolled her eyes. "Relax. You just made history. That's not something to apologize for." As the team worked, they managed to translate parts of the message. It wasn't hostile. In fact, it seemed friendly. The aliens identified themselves as the Valens, a highly advanced species known for their expertise in interstellar travel. They expressed curiosity about humanity and invited further communication. This revelation sent shockwaves through the room. Humanity wasn't alone in the universe, and the Valens wanted to talk. Word of the discovery reached far beyond the space station. News outlets across Earth and other colonies broke the story, calling it the most significant event in human history. Overnight, Ethan became a global sensation. People hailed him as a hero, crediting his simple homework assignment and accidental trigger of the device for opening the door to first contact. But fame wasn't something Ethan was ready for. He avoided interviews and stayed close to Mia, who continued to act as his anchor. A few days later, representatives from the Valens arrived at the UGRC headquarters. Their ship glided gracefully into view, its sleek design unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. When the visitors stepped out, they looked almost humanoid, with shimmering skin that reflected light like water. Their leader, Zilora, introduced herself in perfect English, explaining that her people had been monitoring Earth's progress for some time. "We have long awaited this moment," Zilora said, her voice calm and melodic. "Your species shows great promise, despite its youth." Ethan listened intently, his nerves easing as Zilora spoke. She didn't seem threatening, just curious, much like the scientists on the station. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was part of something bigger than himself. Zilora turned her attention to Ethan, studying him with piercing eyes. "You are the one responsible for this breakthrough?" she asked. Ethan hesitated before nodding. I didn't mean to activate the device. It was an accident." To his surprise, Zilora smiled. "Accidents often lead to the greatest discoveries. Your calculations intrigued us. They align closely with theories we have studied for centuries." This comment caught everyone off guard. Dr. Ryan Patel leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "You mean our methods are similar to yours?" "Not entirely," Zilora replied, "but there is potential for collaboration. If your species can refine these ideas, you may achieve feats you once believed impossible." The room erupted in murmurs. The possibility of working alongside the Valens was both thrilling and daunting. Humanity had so much to learn, but also so much to prove. Later that evening, Ethan found himself staring out a window at the stars. Mia joined him, leaning against the glass. "So, what's next?" she asked. "I don't know," Ethan admitted, "but I think we're about to find out." As the station prepared for deeper engagement with the Valens, Ethan realized his journey was only beginning. His accidental discovery had changed everything. And now, the galaxy was watching. The days following the arrival of the Valens were a whirlwind of activity. Scientists and diplomats from across the galaxy gathered at the UGRC headquarters to meet with Zilora and her team. Ethan found himself at the center of it all, though he still struggled to believe he belonged there. Every time someone referred to him as a pioneer or visionary, he felt a mix of pride and discomfort. Maya stayed by his side, reminding him to take things one step at a time. Zilora wasted no time getting down to business. She explained that her people had been searching for ways to improve interstellar travel for centuries. While they were far more advanced than humanity, even the Valens faced challenges when it came to efficiency and speed. When they intercepted Ethan's signal and analyzed his calculations, they saw potential in his methods. Now they wanted to test whether those ideas could be applied on a larger scale. Dr. Laura Kim suggested forming a joint research team to explore the possibilities. Ethan would work directly with Zilora and her scientists, refining his theories under their guidance. At first, Ethan panicked. How could he possibly keep up with beings who had mastered technologies humanity could only dream of? But Zilora reassured him. "You do not need to have all the answers," she said gently. "Your creativity is your strength. Let us handle the technical details while you focus on innovation." With Mia's encouragement, Ethan agreed to join the project. The team set up a lab where humans and Valens worked side by side. Dr. Ryan Patel and Dr. Emily Dawson collaborated closely with the alien scientists, exchanging knowledge and ideas. Ethan spent hours running simulations, tweaking equations, and brainstorming new concepts. Mia helped organize data and kept the workspace tidy, making sure everyone stayed focused. As the days turned into weeks, progress began to show. Ethan's original calculations served as the foundation for a prototype engine capable of testing his theories in real-world conditions. The Valens provided materials and technology far beyond anything available on Earth, allowing the team to build something truly groundbreaking. Ethan marveled at how quickly everything came together, but he also knew this was just the beginning. Not everyone was thrilled about humanity's sudden leap forward. Some factions within the galactic community viewed Earth's rise with suspicion. They argued that humans were too inexperienced to wield such advanced technology responsibly. Rumors spread that Ethan's ideas weren't entirely his own, that he must have somehow accessed ancient alien archives without permission. These accusations stung, especially since Ethan had never even heard of such archives before. Mia noticed the toll it was taking on him. One evening, after a particularly frustrating day, she pulled him aside. "Don't let them get to you," she said firmly. "You know the truth, and so does everyone who matters. Focus on what you're doing here. It's bigger than any gossip." Ethan nodded, grateful for her support. Still, the criticism weighed heavily on him. He began second-guessing every decision, afraid of making a mistake that could embarrass not just himself, but all of humanity. Zalora sensed his doubts during one of their meetings. "Progress is rarely smooth," she told him. "There will always be those who resist change. But remember why we are here, to push boundaries and explore the unknown. Your courage inspires us." Her words gave Ethan a renewed sense of purpose. He threw himself back into the work, determined to prove that humanity was ready for this responsibility. Slowly but surely, the prototype took shape. It was small compared to the massive ships used by the Valens, but it represented a monumental step forward for Earth. Finally, the day arrived to test the engine. Commander Lisa Hayes, a seasoned pilot from the UGRC, volunteered to oversee the trial run. As the team gathered in the control room, tension filled the air. Ethan clenched his fists, silently praying everything would go according to plan. When the engines roared to life and a ship vanished into the distance, Ethan held his breath. Minutes later, it reappeared, having successfully traveled to Proxima Centauri and back. Cheers erupted throughout the station. Humanity had achieved something once thought impossible, and Ethan Carter was at the heart of it. For the first time, Ethan allowed himself to feel proud. This wasn't just his success. It belonged to everyone who had believed in him. And as he looked around the room, at the smiling faces of his friends, colleagues, and even aliens, he realized they were all part of something extraordinary. The success of the prototype engine sent shockwaves through the galaxy. News of humanity's achievements spread quickly, reaching distant star systems and sparking debates among alien civilizations. Some species were excited by Earth's rapid progress, seeing it as proof that even younger races could contribute to galactic advancements. Others, however, remained skeptical. They questioned whether humans were truly ready for such powerful technology, or if their inexperience would lead to disaster. Back at the UGRC headquarters, Ethan tried to focus on the next steps. The team was already planning improvements to the engine, aiming to make it more efficient and scalable for larger ships. But the pressure was mounting. Every decision felt like it carried the weight of the entire planet. Maya noticed how tense he had become and made a point to remind him to take breaks. "You've done enough to change the galaxy already," she told him one evening as they sat together in the station's observation lounge. "You don't have to carry all this on your shoulders alone." Ethan appreciated her words, but it wasn't easy to shake off the stress. He knew the stakes were high, not just for him, but for everyone involved. Humanity's future depended on proving they could handle this level of responsibility. Meanwhile, tensions continued to rise within the galactic community. A faction known as the Krill Collective publicly criticized the collaboration between humans and the Valens. The Krill were an isolationist species who believed advanced technology should only be shared with worthy civilizations. In their eyes, humanity didn't meet that standard. "They think we're reckless," Dr. Laura Kim explained during a meeting with Ethan and the team. "They're afraid we'll misuse what we've learned." Ethan frowned. "But we didn't ask for any of this. We're just trying to learn and grow." "I know," Dr. Kim replied. Unfortunately, fear often leads to hostility. We need to stay cautious. As if on cue, rumors began circulating about sabotage attempts targeting the project. Security measures around the station tightened, and guards patrolled the halls more frequently. Despite these precautions, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something was brewing beneath the surface. One day, while reviewing data in the lab, Ethan overheard two Valen scientists arguing quietly in their language. Though he didn't understand the words, their tones sounded urgent. When Zalora entered the room moments later, her expression confirmed his suspicions. Something was wrong. Later that evening, Zalora pulled Ethan aside. "There are forces working against us," she admitted. "Some believe our partnership with humanity threatens the balance of power in the galaxy." "What does that mean?" Ethan asked, his heart sinking. "It means we must proceed carefully. If we can demonstrate the benefits of your work, we may win over those who doubt us. But failure is not an option." Determined to succeed, Ethan threw himself into the next phase of testing. With Maya's help, he double-checked every calculation and ran countless simulations to ensure everything worked perfectly. The Valens provided additional resources, and the team worked tirelessly to refine the engine further. Despite the challenges, Ethan found moments of hope. The unity among the researchers, humans and aliens alike, proved that cooperation was possible, even in the face of adversity. Slowly but surely, trust began to build. Finally, the upgraded engine was ready for another trial run. This time, the ship would travel farther than before, pushing the limits of its capabilities. As Commander Lisa Hayes prepared for launch, Ethan stood in the control room, gripping the edge of his chair. When the engines fired up and the ship disappeared into the void, silence fell over the room. Seconds stretched into minutes as everyone waited anxiously for its return. Then, a blip appeared on the monitor. The ship was back, having completed the journey successfully. Cheers erupted once again, louder than ever. Ethan exhaled deeply, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. They had done it. Humanity had taken another step forward, proving they belonged among the stars. As Ethan looked around the room, he realized something important. The journey wasn't just about technology. It was about connection. Humans, Valens, and others were coming together to explore the unknown. And no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them side by side. The success of the second trial run marked a turning point for humanity's place in the galaxy. The upgraded engine performed flawlessly, proving that Ethan's theories were not only sound but also scalable. News of the achievement reached every corner of the known universe, drawing both admiration and envy. For the first time, Earth was recognized as a rising star among interstellar civilizations. But fame came with complications. As humanity basked in its newfound glory, whispers of dissent grew louder. The Krill Collective, along with other skeptical factions, doubled down on their criticism. They accused humans of rushing into advanced technology without fully understanding its consequences. Some even claimed Ethan's work posed a threat to galactic stability, a sentiment that gained traction when an anonymous source leaked falsified evidence suggesting Ethan had stolen ideas from ancient alien archives. Ethan was stunned when the accusations surfaced. He had always been honest about his methods, relying on creativity and basic physics principles rather than hidden knowledge. But now, his integrity was being questioned on a galactic stage. Reporters hounded him for statements, and online forums buzzed with debates about whether he deserved credit for his achievements. Mia saw how much the controversy was affecting him. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, she found him sitting alone in the observation lounge, staring silently at the stars. "This isn't your fault," she said firmly, sitting beside him. "You didn't ask for this drama. Don't let them make you doubt yourself." "I just want to help," Ethan replied quietly. "I never wanted any of this attention, or these lies." "Well, guess what? You've got it," Maya said with a small smile. "But you're not alone. We'll figure this out together." Determined to clear his name, Ethan asked Dr. Laura Kim for advice. She suggested investigating the source of the leak, believing someone within the UGRC might be behind it. With her approval, Ethan and Mia began digging through communications logs and security footage. It wasn't long before they uncovered something suspicious. Dr. Gregory Shaw, a rival scientist who had clashed with Ethan during earlier meetings, had been sending encrypted messages to unknown recipients. Confronting Shaw wasn't easy. When Ethan brought the evidence to Dr. Kim, she arranged a private meeting with the disgraced researcher. Under pressure, Shaw admitted to fabricating the allegations in an attempt to sabotage Ethan's work. His motive? Jealousy. Shaw resented the attention Ethan received and feared his own contributions would be overshadowed. With the truth exposed, the UGRC issued a public statement condemning Shaw's actions and reaffirming Ethan's role in the breakthrough. The apology helped restore some trust, though lingering doubts remained among certain factions. Despite the setback, Ethan felt a weight lift off his shoulders. Knowing he hadn't done anything wrong gave him the confidence to keep moving forward. The team wasted no time getting back to work. Encouraged by Zalora and her Valen colleagues, they began planning the construction of a fleet of ships equipped with the new engine. These vessels would serve as ambassadors of peace and exploration, carrying representatives from multiple species, including humans, on missions to chart unexplored regions of the galaxy. Ethan played a key role in designing the ships, ensuring they incorporated safety features and redundancies to address concerns about human inexperience. Mia assisted by organizing schedules and managing logistics, keeping everyone focused on the goal. Together, they formed a bond with the Valens, learning not only about their advanced technology, but also their culture and values. As the first ship neared completion, excitement rippled through the station. Humanity was about to take its biggest step yet into the cosmos. For Ethan, the journey felt surreal. What started as a simple homework assignment had transformed into a legacy that would shape the future of the galaxy. Standing in the hangar bay, watching technicians put the finishing touches on the gleaming vessel, Ethan allowed himself a moment of quiet pride. Maya stood beside him, her eyes shining with anticipation. "You ready for this?" she asked. Ethan nodded, smiling faintly. "Yeah, let's see where it takes us." No matter what challenges lay ahead, one thing was certain. Humanity's place among the stars was secure, and Ethan Carter had helped make it happen. The launch of humanity's first interstellar exploration fleet was set for a crisp morning aboard the UGRC headquarters orbiting Mars. The station buzzed with activity as scientists, engineers, and dignitaries prepared for the historic event. Ethan stood near the observation deck, watching technicians make final adjustments to the gleaming ships below. Each vessel bore the name of a star system they were destined to explore, symbols of hope and unity etched into their hulls. Mia stayed close, her presence calming Ethan's nerves. "You've done everything you can," she said softly. "Now it's time to trust the process." Ethan nodded but couldn't shake the weight of responsibility pressing on his shoulders. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about representing humanity on a galactic stage. If anything went wrong, it would reflect poorly not only on him, but on all of Earth. Zulora approached them, her shimmering form radiating calm authority. "Today marks the beginning of a new era," she said. "Your species has proven itself capable of great things. Trust in your preparation, and in those who travel with you." Her words reassured Ethan, though he still felt the pressure. He glanced at the crowd gathered for the launch ceremony. Representatives from across the galaxy, including humans, Valens, and other alien species. For once, differences seemed to fade into the background as everyone shared a collective sense of anticipation. Commander Lisa Hayes, chosen to lead the inaugural mission, stepped up to address the assembly. Her voice carried strength and determination as she spoke about the importance of exploration and cooperation. "This is not just a journey into space," she declared. "It is a step toward understanding each other and ourselves better." When the countdown began, Ethan held his breath. The engines roared to life, filling the hangar with it. Years passed, and Ethan Carter's name became synonymous with humanity's leap into the stars. What had started as a high school homework assignment had grown into a legacy that reshaped Earth's place in the galaxy. The fleet of interstellar ships continued to explore distant star systems, bringing back discoveries that thrilled scientists and inspired dreamers around the world. Humanity was no longer just a fledgling species. It was an active participant in the cosmic community. Ethan, now older and wiser, stood on the observation deck of a newly constructed space station orbiting Saturn. This facility served as a hub for ongoing research and exploration, designed to push the boundaries of what humans could achieve. Beside him, Mia Roberts watched the shimmering rings reflect light across the room. She still played a key role in his life, though her focus had shifted from organizing data to helping manage diplomatic relations between Earth and other species. "It's hard to believe how far we've come," Ethan said, breaking the silence. His voice carried a mix of pride and nostalgia. Mia smiled. "Hard to believe. I'm still trying to process it myself. Remember when you thought this whole thing was just some crazy fluke?" Ethan chuckled. "Yeah, those were simpler times." The galaxy had changed dramatically since the first launch. New alliances formed as alien civilizations recognized humanity's potential. Trade routes expanded, cultural exchanges flourished, and shared knowledge accelerated technological advancements. But challenges remained. Not every species welcomed Earth's rise, and tensions occasionally flared. Still, Ethan took comfort in knowing that progress often came with growing pains. Zalora visited frequently, acting as both a mentor and friend. Her wisdom guided Ethan through difficult decisions, especially when skepticism about humanity's intentions resurfaced. During one such visit, she joined Ethan and Mia on the observation deck, gazing out at the vastness of space. "You've accomplished much," Zalora said, her melodic voice soothing. "But remember, exploration is not just about reaching new places. It's about understanding them." Ethan nodded thoughtfully. He knew she was right. While the thrill of discovery never faded, he also understood the importance of respecting the unknown. Every star system held secrets, and every encounter demanded care and humility. Later that day, Ethan attended the launch of another ship, the largest yet built by human hands. Designed for long-term missions, it carried representatives from multiple species, symbolizing unity and cooperation. As the countdown began, Ethan felt a familiar surge of excitement mixed with nerves. Would they find habitable worlds, encounter intelligent life, or uncover mysteries beyond comprehension? When the engines ignited and the ship soared into the void, cheers erupted throughout the station. Ethan allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. Mia appeared beside him, her smile warm and reassuring. "You did good, Ethan," she said. "Now let's see where this takes us." Her words echoed in his mind as he considered the future. There would always be questions about the universe, about humanity's role within it, and about the choices they made along the way. But Ethan no longer feared uncertainty. Instead, he embraced it, knowing that each challenge brought opportunities for growth. As the years went on, Ethan transitioned from hands-on research to mentoring young scientists eager to follow in his footsteps. He traveled the galaxy, sharing stories of Earth's journey and encouraging others to dream big. Maya accompanied him on many of these trips, their partnership stronger than ever. One evening, while attending a ceremony honoring pioneers of interstellar exploration, Ethan found himself standing before a crowd of admirers. They clapped and cheered, calling him a hero. But Ethan didn't see himself that way. To him, he was just a kid from a small town who loved science fiction and dared to think differently. When the applause died down, Ethan spoke briefly, his voice steady and sincere. "This isn't my story. It's ours. Humanity achieved this together, step by step. And there's so much more waiting for us out there." As he returned to his seat, Ethan glanced at Mia, who gave him a knowing look. Together, they had faced countless challenges and celebrated countless victories. Now, As the galaxy stretched endlessly before them, they knew the adventure was far from over. For Ethan, the journey had been about more than equations or engines. It was about connection, between people, between species, and between dreams and reality. And as the stars twinkled in the distance, he felt grateful to be part of something greater than himself. Whatever lay ahead, humanity was ready. Decades had passed since Ethan Carter first solved that high school physics problem, yet his influence continued to shape humanity's future. The galaxy was no longer a distant dream. It was home to countless colonies, thriving trade networks, and alliances forged between species. Earth stood proudly among its neighbors, respected not only for its technological advancements, but also for its determination to learn and grow. Ethan, now an elder statesman of sorts, sat in a quiet corner of the UGRC headquarters orbiting Mars. It was the same station where his journey had truly begun so many years ago. He watched as younger generations of scientists bustled about, their faces filled with the same curiosity and wonder he once carried. Though retired from active research, Ethan still advised the Council on matters of exploration and diplomacy. His experience made him a valuable voice, even if his hair was gray and his steps slower than before. Maya remained by his side, her energy undiminished by time. She joked that she'd have to outlive him just to make sure he didn't get into trouble, but beneath the humor lay deep admiration. Ethan often said that without Mia's support, he might never have found the courage to face the challenges ahead. Their bond was unshakable, a testament to friendship enduring through triumphs and trials alike. One day, Ethan attended the launch of the latest interstellar colony ship. This vessel was unlike any other, a marvel of engineering designed to carry thousands of settlers to a newly discovered habitable planet. Representatives from multiple species gathered for the occasion, celebrating not only humanity's achievements, but also the spirit of unity that defined this era of exploration. As Commander Lisa Hayes gave her final speech before departure, Ethan felt a lump rise in his throat. "Today," she said, "we honor those who paved the way for us. Without their vision, we would not stand here ready to build a new chapter among the stars." The crowd turned to Ethan, applauding warmly. He raised a hand in acknowledgement, humbled by the recognition. When the engines roared to life and the ship ascended gracefully into space, Ethan couldn't help but feel a sense of completion. What started as a simple homework assignment had sparked a revolution that changed everything, for humanity and for the galaxy. That evening, Ethan returned to the observation deck, a place he often visited when seeking solace. Mia joined him, leaning against the railing as they gazed at the stars together. "You know," Ethan said after a long silence, "I used to think I wanted answers. About the universe, about why things happen the way they do. But now, I realize it's the questions that matter most." Mia smiled. "You've always been good at asking the right ones." Ethan chuckled softly. "Maybe. Or maybe I just got lucky." They stood there for a while, letting the vastness of space remind them how far they'd come, and how much farther there was to go. Humanity's story wasn't ending, it was evolving. New challenges awaited, new mysteries beckoned, and new generations would rise to meet them. Before leaving, Ethan glanced back at the glowing expanse one last time. "Thank you," he whispered, though he wasn't sure whom he was thanking, the universe, fate, or simply the journey itself. As they walked away, Maya slipped her arm through his. "Ready to head home?" she asked. "Yeah," Ethan replied, smiling faintly. "Let's see what tomorrow brings." And with that, Ethan Carter stepped into the next chapter of his life, knowing that his legacy would live on, not just in the stars humanity reached, but in the hearts of those who dared to dream alongside him. Whatever the future held, humanity was ready to embrace it, guided by the lessons of the past and the boundless possibilities of the cosmos. For Ethan, the adventure never truly ended. It simply transformed, carrying hope and discovery forward into eternity.